Hi, I'm Neil Christensen, author of Dark White and Malcolm Karma Cold Turkey, and you're watching another of my sporadic episodes of I'm Reading House of Leaves, so you don't have to. Today we're covering Chapter 17. And we're back in the narrative. Navidson is still obsessed with the house on Ash Tree Lane, and Reston is done with it. Reston just wants to get on with his life. It's enough that the house almost killed him. He doesn't want it to have whatever he has left. Reston spends an evening with Will drinking and trying to convince him to just give it up, let it go, have someone else do the dangerous part of investigating. He even tries to convince him to make some money off of it. Navi, he says slowly, we made a hell of a try, but now we're at a dead end, and you're broke. Isn't it time to contact National Geographic or the Discovery Channel? Finally, after 2 heavy pours of Jack Daniels, Navidson caves. He agrees to make some phone calls in the morning and hand the project off. Here's to opening things up, Navidson says by way of a toast. Then, glancing at the photograph of Karen and the children he keeps by the sofa, adds, and here's to me going home. But of course, he doesn't. The next morning, when Reston woke up, Navidson was gone. Reston, after contacting Karen and finding out that Will has not been in touch, goes against his better judgment and returns to the house to find his friend. Reston wheeled himself to the front door. It was unlocked. I sat there for an hour and a half, at least, before I could get the guts to go in. The rest of the chapter is spent analyzing the 3 major theories about why did Navidson go back to the house. There's the Kellogg Antwerp claim, the Biester Freudner Josephson criteria, that is probably being pronounced wrong, and the Havem Slockham theory. I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to explain these theories or how they're different because ultimately I feel like they're just a mechanism for giving us more backstory. So I'll hit the high points. Clearly, Navidson is distraught over the loss of his brother. The book tells us of a conversation he has on the phone with Karen in which he says, I was my brother's keeper. It was me. I was the one who should have been with Daisy. I was the one who should have died. The fact that so much time is spent on the why of it all seems silly to me because right in the beginning of the chapter there, they show us the letter that he left for Karen before returning to the house, and he tells us why right in the letter. My dearest Karen, I miss you. I love you. I don't expect your forgiveness. I'm leaving tomorrow, though I plan to return. But who knows, right? You've seen that place. Guess I'm writing a will, too. By the way, I'm drunk. Sell the house, the film, everything I have. Take it all. Tell the kids Daddy loved them. I love them. I love you, too. Why am I doing this? Because it's there and I'm not. I know that's a pretty shitty answer. I should burn the place down, forget about it. But going after something like this is who I am. You know that. If I wasn't like this, we would never have met in the first place because I never would have stopped my car in the middle of traffic, ran to the sidewalk, and asked you out. No excuse, huh? Guess I'm just another bastard abandoning women and kids for a big adventure. I should grow up, right? And the letter goes on and on. For pages. The one other big thing that we get out of the letter is an answer to a question that we've had since very early on in the book, and that is, who is Delial? And now I can't get Delial out of my head. Delial, Delial, Delial. The name I gave to the girl in the photo that won me the fame and gory. That's all she is, Karen. Just the photo. So Navidson's secret woman is the poor, starving Sudanese girl in the photo that won him the Pulitzer Prize. It's mentioned in one of the theories that perhaps the reason that Navidson has to go back to the house is because he spent so much time in his life taking photos of horrible things without ever actually doing anything about them, without doing anything to stop them, but just simply documenting them, that maybe he feels he needs to actually act now. He needs to do something. Considering this context with Delial, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's also basically what he said in the letter. He's going back there because it's there, and he isn't. There's also the possibility of a more supernatural explanation for Will's return, that it's because the house wants him, that it's calling to him, that it's urging him back into its walls. There's some recounting of several strange dreams that Navidson has, some of which parallel Dante's Inferno. The implication is that the house is calling to him in his sleep. It's urging him back, demanding his return. These suggestions seem to be backed up by secondary evidence surrounding the house's effect on others. We're given a description of how the house affected other people connected to it after the family escaped. Migraines, anxiety, insomnia, nausea, ulcers, etc., etc. We're later told that when Navidson returns to the house, these symptoms in the other people seem to disappear immediately, or at least are greatly reduced. This suggests that the house itself was hurting others as a way of coaxing Will back to it. Additionally, upon Will's return to the house on Ash Tree Lane, the house became a house again. The space between the master bedroom and the children's bedroom had vanished. Karen's bookshelves were once again flush with the walls, and the hallway in the living room now resembled a shallow closet. Its walls were even white. There's a lot in this section that seems to mirror themes that we see in the movie The Ring, which came out in 2002, so after the book. Clearly, House of Leaves was not borrowing from The Ring, and The Ring itself was based on a Japanese horror movie, Ringu, that came out in 1998. All these timelines kind of converge in the same place, and when you take into account how long it takes to write and publish a book or to produce a movie, it's clear that no one was borrowing or stealing from anyone else. They both, or all three of them, just seemed to tap into a certain zeitgeist and follow similar themes. Also paralleling the movie The Ring is this idea that the house was able to affect other people who had not even been to the house or been connected to the house, but who had read the manuscript that Zampano had written. So anyone that kind of came in contact with the materials surrounding the house had those same kinds of symptoms, insomnia, nausea, paranoia, affect them, and it kind of is based on how closely they were tied to the materials. Much like Chapter 16, I think Chapter 17 was suffering from a lot of structural bloat. It's trying to create a narrative reason for giving us this information, this backstory. But since we don't have any footage of this period, what we're doing is we're looking at written documents and analyzing written documents to try to give that information. In my opinion, it causes a pacing problem. Not that this book's pacing is great to begin with. There's good information in there, but the structure is clunky. It requires a lot of bloat, and it reduces the tension that the book has worked so hard to build up into this point. That said, maybe the author felt like after 400 pages, the reader needed to back off on the tension and pacing a little bit. There's a lot in this chapter I didn't even get to touch on. Stuff in the theories and in the dreams. It's a really good reason to go and read the book yourself. But if you're liking this series, please, for the love of God, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really is such a powerful way to help other people find this series. You can also support me by reading my books, Dark White and Malcolm Karma Cold Turkey. Also, if you're the kind of person that likes seeing how the sausage is made, and if you're here, Obviously you are. Head over to my Substack where you can read pre-alpha chapters of my current book, my current work in progress, Inadvisable Romance. Or check out my audiobook podcast with guest commentary on Malcolm Karma Cold Turkey. Each episode is one chapter of the book, followed by commentary and critique from a guest. You can find that here on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. I'll meet you back here next time for Chapter 18 of I'm Reading House of Leaves, so you don't have to.